first of all, friend groups evolve over time.
Mm.
How you as a woman support the other women in your friend group through their beauty evolution says a lot about your character as well. Hey y'all, welcome back to the Fast Forward podcast. We are continuing our series on power, and we've heard some really interesting perspectives on the power of community, the power of visibility. But to be honest, let's keep it real. The world is a little shallow, and the way we look and the way we present ourselves matters a great deal. So I couldn't end the power series without discussing the power of beauty. Now, here's the thing, beauty is truly in the eye of the beholder. But I think for a lot of us, and especially as women, we have some pretty interesting journeys as it relates to beauty. If you remember back when you were a little girl, especially in the tween years, early teen years, so much of what we consider beautiful was driven by what society told us. So, my goal for today's conversation is to talk about what does beauty mean for us, but then also to get real about what that external validation does to impact the way we show up in the world, and to be quite honest, how we can leverage it for good. I knew that to have this conversation about beauty, I would need to bring in an expert. And so today I have none other than one of my own hairstylists. We work together on many photo shoots. And she is a phenomenal person. This is Casi Henderson from Exclusively Casi Hair Studio. And I affectionately know her as Cassie. I wanted to talk to her about the power of beauty because, again, it's something that we can't get away from. And if we are intentional about it, we can leverage it to benefit us in our lives. So, Cassie, first of all, hey, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. I love that introduction.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, of course, as I explained to you, this is our Dear Lil Sis segment where it is me as an older Black woman talking to the younger version of me and everything that it would have been helpful for me to know at that phase of my life. And so, when we talk about the power of beauty, especially for Black women, how we show up for ourselves and how we affirm our own beauty matters. So, can you tell us a little bit about you and, of course, give us a fun fact? And then we're going to hop into some questions.
Well, I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I've been here in Georgia now a little over 5 years, and I'm a hairstylist. I've been in the industry, it's been over a decade plus, but I've done hair ever since I was like a teenager. So I was that girl that people was coming to after school to get their hair done and all that good stuff. So yeah, it kind of came full circle for me as a career change later on in life, and we'll get into that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny you bring up about coming to get your hair done like in high school and stuff, because that's where you first kind of learn about beauty and explore your own version. So you had that in the locker rooms. I used to have super bushy eyebrows. You probably couldn't tell now because I didn't overpluck them like most of us did in the 90s and 2000s.
Right.
And so we hid out in the locker room, and I remember somebody took the little eyebrow razor and touched up my brows for the first time. And I was like, wait, they don't have to look like that? Like, I had no concept of
Right.
eyebrow tweezing, shaving, waxing. Of course, not waxing. That was like much later, several years later. But again, we experiment with beauty so early in our lives. So tell us, how have you cultivated your own personal sense of beauty over the years?
Over the years, like in my adult years.
You know what? Interesting. Maybe start when you were like a young woman. So if coming out of high school, maybe.
So I would just say, and this is for everybody that can relate to me on this one, because for some of us, we don't have a sense of it on our own. And I feel like it was something that was just kind of in me naturally, because I can't honestly say that my mama taught me certain things. I was just one of those young teenage girls that just, when you want to be cute, you looking at other people and seeing what they're doing, and you trying to figure it out. So I was always just playing in my hair. I was just always, trying to figure out certain styles and certain looks and stuff like that. And I would just like experiment on me. And I always kind of had a sense of fashion and was kind of like that little trendsetter that would take risks. I remember having this really, really big, pretty scarf. And I used to make it into like a skirt wrap. I used to make it into like a little top sometimes. So I just kind of always had a little niche when it came to fashion and beauty. It took me a minute to kind of get into the makeup world because makeup back then wasn't really as big as it is now.
Wait, pause with that because you ain't lying, girl. I be looking back at the photos then
Girl,
of
no.
just regular people, like how we wear a lot of makeup now. Back then, we was not doing that. It was
Oh,
like
not
them
at
beauty
all.
supply, roll on little lip glosses. I mean, if you had on
Yeah.
mascara, you were really doing something. And
Yeah.
people used to look so pretty to me. Like I just remember people
Yes.
looking so pretty.
That natural glow. We all we cared about is that lip gloss. If you got them lips glowing and popping, you good.
Girl, girl, wait, not my mama told me one time, girl, your lips look like a greasy spoon. And
Oh,
looking back now, I'm like, yeah, it kind of did. Like,
that is so true though. So I would say that's where I kind of found the sense of like, just the beauty techniques of me just kind of feeling my way through and just
mhm,
experimenting and trying new things. And people always gave me compliments. I remember doing roller sets on myself and just playing around with my hair, doing pinning it up in the back and just manipulating the curls. And then people would just always compliment me on certain things, and I would tell them like, "Yeah, I did my hair," and they'd be like, "What?" So then the word just kind of got out. And
right.
back then, we were into those like, ponytails that we would do, them pin curl ponytails. Yep, all of that.
So we both from the Midwest. So it's like the styles was very similar. Then waterfall
Yeah.
ponytails where it would go
Uh-huh.
up hard and then
I just had them in the house like clockwork. Like, okay, you there, yep, Mama just knew. She was like, all right, I'm gonna just let her do what she do. It was a whole thing. It was beauty shop in the kitchen.
this is crazy because in my head, I remember having my hair was kind of long. It might have been longer. I'm looking at the camera. It might have been longer than it was now at its longest length in high school, but
Uh-huh.
I had 2-inch flat irons. And so I used to do my waterfalls, and baby, them things would be like a 45-degree angle. Like
Oh,
it wasn't no joke. This was
the
serious.
hype was real. We wanted the hype. The banana peels. Oh, listen, don't play with them banana peels. Listen, you couldn't, baby. Everything would break loose before one of them babies would. They
That
were
and the flip.
they understood the assignment. They just feel right where they needed to be, and they didn't budge.
Yes. Wait and hold on. Don't have the hard angle with coming down in the ponytail with the flips and then a swoop in the
Oh my God! I wish I knew where the picture was. I took a picture, high school pictures, and I had that style. I had a swoop, and I had the banana peels coming up, and they had the flip at the bottom. I had that whole hairstyle. No lie.
It's so
It
funny
was
because
fun.
that was one style. Like we
Yeah,
described it 5 different things. That was one hairstyle in the
one
Midwest.
hairstyle.
One.
That is so funny. Oh my God. It was just funny how you can like look over the years and how
Yeah.
trends and hairstyles change and how they come
Yeah.
back, but they come back with a little spin on it. Like finger waves are coming back, but they're just softer. It's
Yeah.
not like those hard freeze waves where you would like, hype it up in the middle and stuff like that. At least we ain't got there yet, but it's
It's
working its way
coming.
slowly.
But
Slowly.
you know what? It's so interesting because I think there's so much conversation. And
Mhm.
it's true about how black women's styles that often were created because we are considered subversive and counterculture, how now they are adopted and at times appropriated in other cultures. But I miss those styles. Like it's so funny how beauty for us is often, I feel, set in childhood. Like I have a very vivid
Right.
memory of a summer I spent in New York. And I remember we went to the movies in Times Square.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lady, she was there on a date. I don't know if it was her boyfriend, it was their first date, but she was on a date with this guy. And I remember thinking she was so pretty. And then I had to go to the bathroom and she happened to be in the bathroom as well. And I remember she had on lavender eyeshadow, it was frosty, of course, because this
Uh
is
huh.
late 90s, with a frosty lavender lip. And I just remember thinking, like, And I think her outfit was lavender because, again, we was matching down.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, "Oh my god, this woman is, like, gorgeous. I cannot wait till I get grown," because I was 13 at the time, "and I can wear lavender eyeshadow and lavender lip gloss or lavender, lipstick, frosted lipstick." I remember seeing women with gold lipstick, and especially as a dark-skinned woman, you got on some frosty gold lipstick. I was like, "When I
Right.
get grown, that's it." Like, that's how I know I'm really an adult, when I could put that gold lipstick on.
Right.
And even now to this day, there are very specific looks that if I do that thing, whether it's
Mhm.
with hair, makeup, styling my clothes, I'm like, "Oh, I look good." Like that
Yeah.
if that's happening, I'm fine as beep, beep, beep. And that started when I was like 13, 12,
Yeah.
13, and I don't necessarily think that those things go away.
No, they really don't. And you know what? I was a little more modest back then. I wasn't comfortable within like my look completely. And what I
Mm.
mean by that is this, like I'm born with full lips. Back then full lips wasn't a thing. Now we got Botox and everything else, and women are trying to get the fullness of the lips. We embrace all the shades of the color of the rainbow on our lips and all of that. And I remember back, like I would say I was like early adulthood, maybe like coming like 1920ish around there. And my mom would tell me like you should, wear, colors, like on your lips sometimes. And I just wasn't comfortable with it. I didn't want to bring attention to my lips because I always felt like they were too full. They were too big. My mom has smaller lips. My sister has smaller lips. And so for me, I was like, well, I got these big old lips. But now, like I don't even view them that big anymore. Like to me,
Thank
they're
you.
just like an average full size lip. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Which is true. But back then it was like,
you got
so
soup
it's just
noodles,
one of those
basically,
things
yeah.
where we just grow into like accepting things about ourselves. I
Yes.
remember thinking about like my forehead size. Like that was the thing for me back in high school years. Like I tried to do everything to keep my forehead covered, whether it was a bang, whether it was a swoop, anything that can kind of just like make it appear smaller. But now I think, and now that I'm in a, the full adult phase of life, it's like, wow, like the things that I had a complex about way back then, where it's like now I'm like, wow, that wasn't even an issue. But
Mhm.
it's just something how we kind of come into ourselves once we
Yes.
really, get more comfortable with who we are. Because, like you said, like when we're younger, we are kind of admiring things that we see about other people.
Yep.
And we're trying to, and I think a lot of these teenage girls are doing that. They just kind of do what they see. I know now they're into all the stuff, of course, like the lashes and the brow sculpt and all of that, and they're even wearing makeup at an earlier age too. So it's like I think they're embracing it more because everything now in society is geared towards like beauty and all of
Yeah.
those things, and of course sex sales, whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a big thing, unfortunately. But I just hope like what we're talking about today is that they're not missing that underlying component of just understanding who they are within and not always needing that external validation from the world to make them feel like who they are is beautiful at their core, because we can compare ourselves so much to people and feel like this is beautiful or that's beautiful when, like you said, the pure beauty that we miss is just you in your rare form, like who you are as an individual, and just really knowing what you're made up of.
I love that. Thank you so much for saying that because the young ladies that I see, and even the young ladies in my family, they're so into makeup and the looks are so dramatic. So
Yeah,
what's considered soft glam now would have been theater face for us back then.
absolutely.
And my concern is that they like how you were able to pick out certain features that you evolved to love about yourself. I have the similar stories of features where it's like, I love that about me now. I looked at my nails because a memory stood out. I'll never forget my mother and I had a contentious relationship. That is not this episode. We ain't gonna go into that. Well, actually,
Mhm.
I'll make a point about that later. But she made a comment. I probably couldn't have been no more than 8 or 9. And she was like, "Oh, you have ugly fingers." I have no idea what made her say this to me in the car.
Right.
But for years, I carried with me like, "Oh my God, my hands are just so oddly shaped." When I would get my nails done, I'm like, "Oh, this doesn't even look good." And so it took a nail tech that I had when I lived in New York. She was an amazing person. And she was like, "Oh, I love your nails. Like, they're so beautiful." And I'm like, "What?" And she was like, "Yeah, girl, we could get your nails to grow." And that is how I ended up growing out my nails long. And ever since then, like, usually I'm wearing an overlay. But that was the first time that I believed that I could cultivate my beauty starting with what was already inside me. And
Mhm.
so from 8 until my early 30s, 20 something years, I'm carrying this with me.
Mhm.
And my mother probably never even paid attention again, right?
And probably don't even remember.
And probably didn't even remember that she said it, right?
Mhm.
And so what I want to impress to the young ladies who are going to hear this is that what is a milestone moment for you and a watershed moment sometimes is just passing nastiness from others. And so
Mhm.
you have to learn how to eat the meat and spit out the bones with the ways that people comment on your beauty,
Right.
with the ways that you see other people experiment with their beauty. Because all of this is experimentation. So I think about some of the most beautiful women of our time. You think about the eras that they have. So Beyonce's different eras of beauty, Rihanna's eras of beauty, Taylor
Mhm.
Swift, Madonna, right? Pick any artist that we love and that has been lauded for their beauty, whether
Right.
natural or cultivated through surgery or enhancements or whatever.
Mhm.
They go through phases and trends too. And so if you are chasing, for example, Beyonce's features, well,
Mhm.
Beyonce has features that are unique to her because of her genetic makeup, her facial structure, all of that
Absolutely.
stuff. If you chase Beyonce's features, guess what? Your face is still there somewhere. And as you
Mhm.
age and come into your own, your face is still gonna come through. And I think
That's
we're
right.
seeing that for people who are reversing surgeries that they've had, trying to remove fillers or change things back, and you really can't get back to your original state once you do certain things. So I want the young ladies who are listening to be careful about that
Yeah.
because beauty trends are not always innocent. Sometimes you can do permanent, irreversible damage to who you could be chasing somebody else's experiment. With
Yeah.
that being said, you can still feel free to experiment, but
Right.
I would encourage you all to question why you're doing it, right? So
Absolutely.
why do you feel that your lips are too full? Is it because you are looking at other people in your family or
Mhm.
other people who you admire and that causes you to feel bad about yourself? Why do you feel that your eyes are shaped funny? Why do you feel like you want a different shape and you need a BBL? Why do you feel like you need toe surgery? I mean, it's like anything we can think of on our body, people are trying to quote unquote fix, but we don't always investigate the why.
Absolutely.
And that
We do
why
need to be
tells us to
validated at
investigate.
a young age.
Yes, go ahead. I'm so sorry. Yes.
Oh no, it's okay. I was just thinking, like, when you were saying all of that, like, that's why it's so important that we really validate our young ladies at an early age.
Yes.
I mean, even as young as when they're in elementary school, because
Yes.
kids are cruel these days. There are
Yeah,
a
they
lot
are.
of, like, not just cyberbullying, but people are bullying like right in the classrooms.
Yeah.
Making fun of kids, and you can kids. I hear things from friends. Children. I don't have any children, but I hear things from kids, and it's just amazing to me that these are where all the seeds are planted
Yeah.
to kind of
Yeah.
make, our young people doubt themselves, question
Yeah.
who they are, and feel inferior, or just feel like something is wrong with them, because we all have those things that make us feel like that. But you as a mom or as a parent, or like, it takes a village, or me being an aunt, me reminding that young child, telling them, listen, everybody in this life is entitled to their own opinion. Everybody is going to rightfully have their opinion of you, but that doesn't make it the truth about you. It's
Yeah.
what you believe about you is, and that's what's deemed most important. And we have to be at peace with how God made us. He said we're fearfully and wonderfully made in His image, so we have to embrace that. Even though we can all see imperfections, but the imperfections is what make us beautiful.
Yeah.
Like I have my own, from birth, but I had to come to peace with myself about, a birth defect or different things like that, or
Yeah.
just, my younger years being called light bright. It's just
Yeah.
so many things that, we have to make amends with ourselves and make peace with
Yeah.
ourselves about, and remind ourselves, like, I'm beautiful just as I am. I'm
Yeah.
enough. You
Yeah.
know, for what I'm called here to do and what I'm on this earth to do, I'm enough. And I have everything I need inside of me. So that's the healthy internal validation that I think we need to impart into like young ladies, is just to remind yourself like you're beautiful, and a lot of people are going to be drawn to you by the right type of confidence. When we
Yes.
let people steal our confidence and make us have that self-doubt and not be assured in who you are and not even know who you are, because you're just comparing yourself too much amongst other people. We're created differently. Like we got different gifts and different talents. You know,
Yes.
it to me it's not even just all about the exterior, because when you have those things on the inside of you, I had a brand. I rebranded myself after I moved here to Atlanta. And what I was branded as before in Cleveland, Ohio, excuse me, was polished and poised. And
Yeah.
that whole brand stood for not to just be polished on the outside, but to be poised from within. Because
Yes.
being poised within, it has a lot to do with your characteristics. What makes you who you are? What is your makeup? Like, what do you say about you? And to me, those things are good in building up women, you know, just from the inside out. Because I feel like when you do the work from within,
Yeah.
it's going to exude on the outside. And that's when, you know, people will admire you just because of who you are. It's in, like you said before, it's in your show up. You
Yeah.
know, it's how you present yourself to the world. You know, and to me, that's the real beauty that radiates, and that's the real glow up. When
Yes.
you really know who you are from within, and you can walk in who you are confidently, and you're not at war within yourself about what other people think about you, because those things can stifle your growth, and it could really make you just kind of be at a standstill in life and not move forward. Because when it comes down to job interviews, when it comes
Yeah.
down to, you know, just in relationships, whether it's a romantic relationship or
Yep.
friendships, because you have to show up as different things in those relationships. You have to be supportive, you have to be different things of that nature. So all of those things are going to come out in those relationships. So it's important that we be mentally healthy, emotionally healthy, and that we have the right type of outlook on who we are, because those
Yeah.
things are going to be affected, and it first affect you.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I think, oh, you said so much good stuff in there. If I could integrate some of it, just that last part that you mentioned about friend groups, you know,
Mm-hmm.
there's so much noise online, and it typically falls into two camps where it's like, bump, you know, these romantic relationships I'm rocking with my friends, or it is, I don't mess with these girls, they all catty. And you could fall somewhere along that spectrum. And I think I want to challenge the young ladies that are going to listen to this, though, that there is a middle ground there, and you have to be very clear about your value system within those perspectives. Here's what I mean. First of all, friend groups evolve over time, and especially when we're talking about beauty, some of the girls who were considered drop dead gorgeous when we were kids, it's not that they're not pretty now, but like you said, as people evolve into their confidence, the ugly ducklings become pretty too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it is not always because you change your look, it could just be from within. How you carry yourself is different, and so the world perceives you differently.
Mm-hmm.
How you as a woman support the other women in your friend group through their beauty evolution says a lot about your character as well.
Absolutely.
So, how do you affirm your friends when they are denigrating themselves or tolerating degradation from other people? How do you handle when people make like little quips and comments about themselves? How do you handle when you notice that people might be slipping into signs of body dysmorphia or even eating disorders? Like when I think back, there were little signs of things that were going on in my friend groups where, again, we just weren't conscious of that back then. But now I'm like, hold on, I think so and so had an eating disorder, right? Or like, man, so and so was always uncomfortable with that part of their body and always trying to like change that, but they were beautiful. But I didn't have the language then to say it. So
Right.
what I
Yeah.
again want to challenge the young ladies to do is to be very thoughtful about your friend group, because our friend group has a huge impact on how we perceive our beauty. And sometimes it is because we put too much stock and too much weight on their voices, and sometimes it's because we in secret competition, right? So one thing that I've had to notice is like I can realize now there were people who adopted me into their friend group because I was the ugly but funny friend. Like that was the perception. And sometimes it was because of hair texture, skin tone, body size and shape, etc. And so a lot of times boys might be drawn to my personality, and I was outgoing. So I would just go up and talk to people, and then they could play in the cut and be like the demure, right, pretty girl to
Right.
then get the guy. Again, this is me as an adult now
Right.
processing through this, and I'm like, oh wait, that was exactly what happened. And
Mhm.
so there are certain friend groups that I grew out of, or there ended up being some type of conflict and dissolution because as I came into my own, it was like, no, I'm showing up as this person. They didn't like that. And they
Right.
couldn't handle me stepping out of the prescribed social role.
Yeah.
So again, as a young lady, this is going to evolve over time as you develop more confidence, get more life experience and wisdom to notice and pick up on certain things.
Mhm.
But you have to be clear about the social role you have been adopted into in a friend group and whether or not that matches the social role you want to play. If
Right.
you don't want to be the pretty girl of the group and you always have to be on, right? Because there's pressure even for that, where it's like,
Absolutely.
yeah, I don't want to wear makeup. I just want to wear some sweats. I just want to chill. I'm not always trying to look like a fashion model.
Uh-huh.
That's pressure. If you don't want to be that
Yes.
person, you have to cultivate and negotiate that in your relationships. If you don't want to be the sidekick, ugly but funny best friend or ugly but smart best friend, you have to negotiate that in relationships and be clear that even when you're negotiating what you want, other people might not be able to give that to you. And so a part of you coming into your own beauty, setting your own beauty standard is recognizing when you have to step away from relationships because there isn't an appreciation, an affirmation, and a validation for your own beauty standard.
Oh, that's so, so
Set
good.
it, but other people accept it or
Mhm.
reject it. And we have to be okay with their decision, no matter how long the relationship has been going on,
Yes.
no matter who it is, no matter, sometimes the political and social consequences of doing that. And I'll
Mhm.
say this last point with that, it even happens in families, right?
Ah,
So, Cassie, you also brought up about skin tone and how being fair skinned would, and of course, y'all already know colorism is huge in the Black community.
yeah.
So for child, for me, it was the opposite. So I get
Yeah.
my skin tone from my father's side of the family. Like pretty much my dad's entire family is dark skinned.
Mhm.
But on my mom's side of the family, it's the total opposite. So all of the family that I grew up around, especially in Detroit, they were all much lighter than me. And they would pick on me about my skin tone at times. And even now to this day, I actually just had to check one of let me not say who it is, child to
right.
address someone in my family about making some comments to me as recent as a couple months ago. And when they said it in the moment,
Mhm.
I was like, let me just ignore it because we were in person with each other. But later I realized I'm like, this keep bothering me. So I need to say something to them. And it was not well received, but I realized that was the first time in my life, and I'm almost 40, that I've ever addressed them
Wow.
about that.
Mhm.
And I used the word check, but it wasn't, I don't think it was confrontational. I wasn't
Mhm.
yelling, but I confronted them to let them know, hey, you said that to me. Not only was it inappropriate, but it also wasn't true. And the fact that you feel that way, it says something. So what's going on there? Let's dig deeper.
Right.
And their rejection of what I said, I realized for the first time it said nothing about me, but
Mhm.
I grieved for the little version of me that internalized all of that for so long.
So, right.
For so long. And so that's what I want to communicate to you ladies is that people gonna talk, like Cassie said, folks gonna say all type of stuff. But you have to be clear about what beauty looks like for you. And then periodically you got to do like a review and a download. Because again, this stuff compounds.
Right.
So it's not just the person who made the nasty comment about your hair texture last week. It's the fact that you've been hearing similar comments to that since you were 3. And so all of those comments over time, now that you 23, 27, they're
Right.
adding up. You have to review that, download it, unpack it, keep the parts you want to, and dismiss all the rest. And you might have to do that a few times. You might need to do that in therapy. You might need to do that with a coach. You might need to do that in community. But it is necessary because we all internalize some pretty nasty messages about beauty over the years that don't serve us and that don't fit who we are.
Absolutely. Oh, I could not agree more. When I tell you that was so good, that was so good.
It's it's a lot, and
It
it's
is
so
a lot.
interesting. Yeah, because again, it don't matter who it is, you're gonna have a story about that. It could be
That's
about the
right.
shape of your nose, the shape of
Mhm.
your eyes, the length of your eyelashes, your nails, your size, the width of your hips. Like it's always something. And
Right.
it's always gonna be something because beauty is one of those aspects of the human experience that we as humans have designed it to be a chase.
Yeah.
Beauty and money, right? We always chasing the next thing, the next, we're never satisfied. And
Right.
so that's why it's so important that you have your own sense of self. Please, I beg of y'all, you
Yes.
cannot chase what other people talking about. You can be
Mhm.
aware of what other people talking about. You can know what other people are talking about so you can decide when you want to play the game for your own benefit or when you want to step out of the game because you're just not interested in being bothered. It's all a choice.
I love that so much. And I could even go on and on more into it, but it's like
Yes.
I feel like what you hit was really good because like you said, it's what we all deal with. We all have a story. We all come from somewhere, and our relationships evolve as we evolve. Because
Yeah.
my reasons now and how I connect with other women in friendships are totally different because my value system has changed. Being
Yes.
now, being now 40. So it's like,
Yes.
I see it differently, and then you just want to be more so supportive to your friends. You want to embrace who they are and just you know, compliment who they are, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
not more so, it's everything is about adding value.
Yeah.
I look at that like I want to add value to somebody. And you just want those reciprocal relationships, those that'll pour into you, those that you can pour into, and we just compliment each other and just we can respect each other's differences because even
Yeah.
though you connect with people because you have something in common with, you guys are still going to have your own differences that make you unique, and those are the things that you still celebrate. Where it's like
Yeah.
in your younger years when you're immature, you don't really know how to celebrate those things because you want your friends to be exactly like you. You want them to
Yes.
look like you, talk like you. But we
Yeah.
know as we grow and as we evolve in life and we have goals and aspirations, we know your connections are really going to be, out of what you even know, because sometimes you got to get out of your comfort zone to connect with people that can add the right value to who you are and what you're trying to do and what you're trying to get done. And
Yes.
those people may not look like you. They may not even be the same ethnicity. They may not even have the same background. So it's like we just have to open our minds more, like as we grow and evolve in life to know, like, you know what, I kind of let the connections happen authentically, and it's a discovery. I discover who my friends are now. I don't
Come
pick
on.
them. I discover who they are. So it's like you just embrace life in a new way where it's just all based off of just like a flow.
Yeah.
Like you're not forcing relationships, whether it
Yeah.
be intimate relationships or friendships, and just like you had mentioned in your conversation before too about, it's certain things like, certain ways about yourself where you're like, I don't like this for myself. I don't like that. Like if I have a friend that say those things, I would just say, well, you know what, this color looks good on me, but you know what, for your skin tone, I really think you could try this, that, or the other. So I'm gonna give
Mhm.
that person some alternatives, some ideas. So those are ways to implement, when those type of conversations happen, so
Yeah.
you can redirect those negative things that can come out. Because you can have a friend and be supportive to them if they're saying something negative about themselves. Oh, I hate my eyes, or I
Yeah.
don't like this color on me, or because I'm dark skinned, I can't wear those colors. No, you absolutely can. I see women now embracing everything, honey,
Yes.
everything, and it looks beautiful. You just have to
Beautiful.
own it. You gotta own who you are, own your look, and walk in it, and just accept you fully. And you
Yeah.
can do it, and you can absolutely do it. It's like when you shut yourself off and say I can't. That's when you kind of like block your you block your shine. You block your own shine. So it's like you don't allow yourself. You don't give yourself room to even show yourself new things. So
Yeah.
just being open to embrace, new phases of yourself out of your norm, out of your comfort zone.
I love that so much. And that actually leads to my last question. we hear so much conversation about grown woman body and
Mm.
evolution and evolving out of trends and things like that. How do you cultivate your own confidence, Cassie, and your own beauty at this stage of your life?
I definitely, I came to a place where I just say, you know what? I just know that this is me. At this point, at this place in my life, I know that who I am now is who I'm supposed to be, is who I was always meant to be. And I just had to embrace everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, the things that I wanted to accept, the things that I didn't want to accept. I just had to say, like, you know what? These were the ingredients that it took to make me the woman I am today. And if I didn't have that, that couldn't have been an obstacle that I needed to overcome. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like we're empowered by the things that we overcome and not just by being like just great. Like we people are inspired by what you've been through. Like we
Yeah.
all have come through something. But the people that I admire the most are people that have like a story that said, no matter what, I didn't stop. I didn't quit on myself. I didn't stop believing in myself because there's always going to be a reason to make any of us want to quit and make us feel like it's not worth it or it's too much. And I get it. Like some of us, we can't help the cards that we dealt in life. Some of us don't have an hourglass figure. Some of us, aren't equipped. Some people have better social skills naturally. Some people have better skills with test taking. Some people do well in school. Some people don't even have to study that much. Me,
Mhm.
child, please, I got to be glued in there. Listen, but you just have certain things like that we go through in life, and I would say a biggest lifesaver for me at this place and phase in my life is prayer and meditation, and
Yeah.
that's where I really hone in on my self care, on my mental health, and my mental wellness. Is because I know that everything is about your perspective and your outlook on life.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the key that will be able to unlock every new door in your life is how you see yourself going through to that next level, to that next phase. And we all do need support from people. So it's important to have the right type of people in your corner, in your life, that you feel seen, you feel heard, and that believe in you. Because outside of that, it's going to be harder to kind of fight through certain things on your own. And definitely faith is important. Like,
Yeah.
I definitely don't tell people what to believe, but I just know without faith, whew, I wouldn't have been able to make it
Come
this
on.
far at all. So I put a lot of my faith and my confidence in God and who He says I am. That's another form of confidence too, of just knowing like where you come from and why. But so I would just say get grounded. I do activities where I go outdoors. Absolutely love nature. I'm a water person. I love, peace and serenity. Water just soothes me and just makes me feel calm and just like I'm closer to God and I'm really being balanced and just brought back to my core. So, doing things that make you feel that way, I really enjoy it. I get energy from the people I be around. So I love spending time with girlfriends and just the energy that gives me when I'm around, in those relationships that I know I can just either be a big kid and have fun and just we
Yeah.
having a lot of laughs, or
Yeah.
when we're having these deep conversations where it can just really help, you just to have a wider, viewpoint or just being able to look in things in retrospect. So I really value those core things. But it's important for me as a hairstylist because I'm communicating with women. Being a hairstylist is like a therapist. I connect with
Yes.
great women in their own right all the time. And it's definitely a community, a camaraderie of just what we have built. And I absolutely love that because they pour into me, I pour into them. And I need that. So I need to make sure I'm always good within who I am. So that way I'm consistent in how I show up at work. I'm
Yeah.
consistent in being a sounding board for them, being somebody that holds, things near and dear to their heart, confidential. So yeah, those things really, really help balance me. And just being a hairstylist in a big city like Atlanta, being true to who I am, being true to who I am just in my field, in my career. and just staying true to who I am in that sense, because I know we can be swayed to feel like we need to do this or we need to do that. But I
Yeah.
just I'm big on just doing things that are authentic to who I am, and just doing the things that I know I'm really like genuinely passionate about, because I feel like when you love it, that's what people are going to feel, that's what people are going to
Yes.
see,
It's an
and
energy.
that's what's
It's
going to
an energetic
transpire.
exchange.
Yes, absolutely. So those things are really, really big for me, with just being able to show up and be my most confident self and do things from the most authentic place. Like I love that, and
I love
that's
that.
what's most important to me at this time of my life.
I'm so happy that you said that as a parting thought, because I can confirm, y'all, I feel that when Cassie is on a shoot, oh my goodness, it's like the shared energy is just crazy. And the support, the affirmation. What my prayer is for everyone who is listening is that you find the community that you need, that will see you, as Cassie said, and see the beauty that you possess naturally and the beauty that you're cultivating for yourself. So, on that note, sis, here's our final question. What does beauty mean for you? What does confidence mean for you? What's a nugget that you can take away from this conversation to affirm that beauty and that confidence in you? Let us know down in the comments. And of course, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll catch you in the next one. Bye, y'all.